Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES! I figured since Scott and I just did TMNT4, I might as well go back and do the original, as much as I'd rather avoid doing so. And first off, you can actually see me doing a good amount of shortcuts throughout because I actually know this game pretty well in the early sections. Why? We had it when I was a kid, and let's just say I played the first two levels a decent amount. I hate level 2. Now, early on, you're actually going to see me using a bit more Leonardo than most of the others, but past a certain point, I'm going to be using almost exclusively Donatello. Because you actually do have access to all 4 turtles off the bat in this game. But first off, I should talk about the first boss here, Bebop. Certain little sewer sections like this do have boss fights against characters. Usually they're just normal enemies, but sometimes you get an exclusive one like this against Bebop, who, as you can see, if you get him in the right place, cannot move at all until just gets stuck on the wall. Anyway, as I was talking about earlier, you can play as all 4 turtles off the bat in this one, but there are differences. Though first off, I should mention 2 things. Just follow where I'm going for the most part. You'll more or less find where you're supposed to go, and you can aim in all 3 directions, up, down, and horizontally. And as I was saying, Leo is, I think, the fastest attacker with medium range and medium power. Don has the best range, is the strongest, but his attack speed is a bit eh. Mikey, I think, is almost right in the middle of all of them. Raph has the shortest range, but I think the fastest attack speed, but I think he has either medium or weak power to partner with that. Raph is, I think, actually technically the worst in this game. Leo and Don are my go-to battle turtles. If I'm using Mikey or Raph rather, it's more than likely as bullet fodder. Though I should mention, the way that lives work in this game is a bit weird. When a turtle dies, only that turtle dies. They're technically captured, and you have to go to switch to another turtle in order to progress onwards. So say if I lost all my life as Donatello here, I'd have to continue on as one of the other 3 until they died, then I continue on as one of the other 2, so on and so forth, until you have no turtles left. At which case, that is a continue used. You only have 2 continues, and then it's game over, back to the start with you. And needless to say, back to the start in this game sucks. And obviously, unless a particular turtle has fallen in battle, you can switch between any of the 4 at any time just by pressing start and highlighting the turtle. And I even like that they actually display how much health the turtle has. That's pretty good. And next boss is Rocksteady. And oh yeah, they have April. They kind of showed that off in the beginning cutscene, didn't they? Now, Rocksteady can actually be kind of an annoying boss if you don't know this trick. If you stand up here and just aim downwards as Donnie, he won't always hit him, but you can hit him often enough to the point where this boss will just go down within a few seconds more often than not. Not every boss has a cheat like I've done to well, not cheat, good strategy like this like I've done to Rocksteady or Bebop, but enough of them do to the point where I can tackle this game fairly easily. Though that doesn't stop the end game from neutering me in practice runs. This game's difficulty is a bit obscene, I'll be honest. Don't let the Foot Clan destroy the dam. You have my support. At any given time, if you actually pause the game, April or Splinter will actually give you advice on what to do or what you're doing in your certain situation. More often than not, it's one person over than the other on certain sections of the game, but they're both there. And this is actually a very infamous level. I've gotten past it in my childhood, but it's hell. The dam. Anyone who's familiar with this game at all knows why this place sucks. Mind you, if anyone's a fan of the AVGN, they already know how kind of brutal this game can get. Actually, if I recall correctly, didn't the AVGN TMNT episode, which was like episode 5 or something, turn 10 like 2 days ago? Oh god, it did. I have the date right here, June 29th, 2006. Oh god. That hurts a bit. Ugh. Now, if you're not familiar with the game, you're probably looking at what I said earlier about this level being kind of annoying, to say the least, and going, it doesn't look that bad so far. Just wait. This game had a wall that blocked a lot of people off as kids and probably still gives some people trouble to this day. We're coming up on it, and I hate it. Also, I apologize, by the way, if you see any, like, tiny cuts in the footage. For some reason, a couple friends on Steam were just bugging me nonstop the day I recorded this. And for some reason, I didn't have it in me to just say, I'm recording, can you stop messaging me for about maybe an hour? Because I'm Honestly, a bit too polite to do that to friends and relatives straight up in their face. Hell, I think one such cut is coming up right there. Yeah, there it is. You can see because all the enemies imploded. I apparently killed them off before I decided to start recording again. My bad. That can happen, though. Same with any small glitches on the HUD. That's me pausing and unpausing off-screen just to check my notes, because the thing is about this game, my practice runs and my actual playthrough were about a month apart, so I had to take a look at my notes just to remember where I had to go. Like, deal with this certain enemy this way, go through this platforming section such way, so on and so forth. Because this game is hard. There's no going about that other than that. Also, this jump coming up here kind of sucks, because the ceiling gimps you. You have to kind of be halfway off of it just to make the jump normally. There is a way that you can actually jump up to the top of that from the floor, but I had a hell of a time getting it to work off screen, so I just decided to screw it this time around. And welcome to the section that sucks, the underwater dam section. You have 2 minutes and 20 seconds to stop 8 bombs from exploding like that. And you have to get through the swimming section, which you have to mash A in order to move around, by the way. And if you don't get them all, that's a game over, not a death. That's an overall game over for that continue. And it sucks. I hate this section, as does everyone. Now, the open water isn't the worst part of it. In fact, these are actually pretty decent swimming controls, all things considered. And the music is fantastic. In fact, that's the thing I can say for the game overall, is that this game's soundtrack is kick-ass, but I'd expect that of 80s and 90s Konami. The thing that sucks is those electric barriers, which have really strict timing and getting through. The kelp right there, which will drag you into it and is an instant kill. And the other kelp you saw on the wall, or I think we're going to see some coming up right here, actually. Yeah, right there on the left. That stuff touches, if you touch it, it's damage. There are some frames where it won't damage you and some where it will. But it hurts and it sucks. This section is hell. And I was surprised I managed to get past it at age 3. The one time I got past it at age 3. I can get past it with relative ease these days, but I have to take hits in order to damage boost through some things to do it effectively. Though I don't play this game that much. The Turtles game I play the most, without a doubt, is Turtles 4. With a bit of Battle Nexus, I think it was on the GameCube, too. I enjoy that one as well. But I have evil memories of this game. Though this actually wasn't the first Turtles game I ever played. I don't think I brought this up in TMNT 4. But the first one I played was one on the Game Boy. I think it was TMNT 3 Radical Rescue? Let me look that up. Yeah, that's the box art. That's definitely it. And that game is not that good from what I remember. I haven't played it in about 6 to 8 years at this point. So, I barely remember. Also, as you can see, we're getting really close to that timing, and we're on the last bomb right now. This section is almost always close. The lowest time I've had getting up to this section is like 20 seconds. So this could be a really tight thing no matter what. Though, I think when you get below 20 seconds, you get a really awesome song that plays. But like I said, this game's soundtrack is glorious. Does that excuse how obscene the difficulty is? Not really, but it makes it more bearable. Good job, the dam is safe. Let's go home. We're here. Oh, that doesn't look too different. Oh, great. You guys have Splinter, don't you? This is Shredder. Listen to me, Turtles. We have taken Splinter. To get him back, you must defeat the Foot Clan. My text scrolling sucks. We're waiting for you. Ha, ha, ha. Let's go and help Splinter. Yeah, this is definitely an 80s video game adaptation, because you can tell, because this is made with very little shits given about the storyline. It's just very do this, do that, you're good. Hell, look at the enemies. Most of the enemies are not based off things that showed up in the show, from what I recall. You got Bebop and Rocksteady. and a few ninjas from the Foot Clan, but that's about it. Most of the enemies in this are kind of just thrown out of it, unless they're like from the comics, which I can understand if they're from that. But a lot of them are just strange. Like, look at the Human Torch here. What the hell is that, and why does he shoot out chicken legs? This game's weird. Don't get me wrong, though. The game's actually not that bad. The early sections in particular are actually pretty fun once you get past the taking obscene amounts of damage. But it's not the worst thing I've ever played. Because I played much, much worse, I can guarantee that. I hate these knights, though. Whose heads fly for some reason. Because they can really get some good damage in if you don't know how to deal with them. Oh, hey, look, it's the infamous AVGN pit. You can't jump over this pit. You have to walk over, because for some reason the turtles can walk over one-gap pits. Or one-tile pits. However, if you know how to position yourself just right, you can do that. And completely avoid that jump in general. Though, there'd be showing me off that you can just walk over it. You're not supposed to jump over it. Though I did make that mistake a good amount as a kid. So, yeah. And that's a pizza item. We've gotten a few pizza items at this point. They are the healing items. One slice is pretty much a 1/4 health recovery. Half slices recover about half your health bar. Pizzas are more or less always full restores. Like full pizzas, that is. Which is, you know, a pretty good system of having it. There are a few other power-ups as well. You can find some shurikens and stuff, but even some extra healing pizzas. But more often than not, they're in very out-of-the-way locations and extra buildings you don't need to enter, so I don't go after them. Either way, the main reason we actually went into that building is to get that little missile power-up that you can see to the left there. Those can only be used in this level in the van, and they're used to destroy the barricades. They can be also used on the enemy vehicles and ninjas, but it's not really worth it. Also, if you're outside the van, don't touch the enemy vehicles. They're instant kill. Well, that's a giant frog. Admittedly, too, this game, I think the way that they made... I think the reason... I'm stumbling all over my words now. I think the reason they made this game so hard is that it's actually a pretty short game. I can tell you for a fact that this is a 2-part long LP, so we're not here for long. So it was more of probably one of those times where they're just like, this game's going to be over in like 20 minutes if we don't make it ball-bustingly hard. So let's do that. Which, mind you, is a really stupid way to extend gameplay just by making it really hard, but I can understand why they did it. Because that was the way things were at the time. Games didn't usually have credits and endings and stories, so there wasn't any incentive to really beat the game other than just beating it. The weird thing about some of these little mini-bosses against normal enemies, oh yeah, by the way, Don's attack also attacks behind him, is that sometimes they're randomized. Like, that can either be one of those knight guys or one of the flaming enemies, so that's weird. And that right there is a scroll. Keep those as long as you can, because they are great ways to deal with bosses. I think they deal like 2.5 units of damage, and grab that as well. That is a rope. What'll that do? Well, you'll see eventually. And now I want to fall into the sewers because that'll just boot us right back outside. If you want to get some good platforming practice in, I recommend doing it in there, though, before falling into that sewer. Because that's not the only sewer we're doing in this game. And if you don't know how to platform around in them, they can get really annoying. Because more often than not, when you're in a sewer section like that, you don't want to hold the jump button down for the full effect of the jump. Because the turtles can, for some reason, jump like 30 feet high in this game. You want to more often than not do a half jump in order to get a lot of the jumps done so the ceilings don't gimp your jump. Which is something I'm kind of used to because I've played some other games that I had to do that. Heck, in Mega Man, or some sections, if you don't do that, you're going to touch spikes, so yeah. The Turtle Van does have its own HP, and I'm not actually sure what happens to it if it gets destroyed because I don't think I've ever had it fully get destroyed. I'm just going to assume that it respawns in its initial position, or you're pretty much screwed, have to get a continue, or use a continue. Thankfully, though, you never really are in threat of losing all of its HP, because this map isn't that big. Oh, and yeah, I should mention, say goodbye to the Turtle Van, because this is the last we'll ever see of it. For some reason, they don't bring it back in this game. I think it's back in either 2 or 3, but I entirely forget. And now for a really stupid platforming section. Where you have to do the half presses, as I mentioned earlier. Actually, though, if I recall correctly, the thing is about this game is that it had a couple ports to certain PC engines. And in one particular one, I think it was a DOS version. this section was completely impossible. The geometry was placed in such a way that a ceiling would always gimp your jump, and it would be impossible to make a certain jump. Meaning, if you had that certain version and you got to this point, you realized that you were screwed and that you could never beat it. I think the only way you can beat it is either by glitching or accessing, I think, an equivalent to debug mode. I think it's that jump right there, actually, too, so... yeah, that kind of sucks. Make it almost halfway through the game to only be screwed. Though I say that, and that does actually remind me of one particular playthrough of Persona 3, where I accidentally sold the stupid mop that you need for that one Elizabeth side quest when I was going for 100%. 2 months prior. I was very angry at myself that day. Also, I should mention, don't fall into the water here, otherwise you have to start this entire section all over. I think you're sent back to right outside this building, if I recall. Either way, it sucks, don't let it happen. Learn your jumps and do them well. Thankfully, they gave you a good healing item here, too. So can you see why I love Don so much? Has the best range and the best power, and he's just overall the best. Sure, his attacks are a bit slower, but most powerhouses have weaker, slower attacks anyway, so I don't really mind. Seriously, what are these guys supposed to be? They actually kind of remind me of, what was that guy's name from Illusion of Gaia? Wolf, I think? The bounty hunter who only showed up, or was only mentioned at the very start of the game and then showed up at the very ending. Well, one of the last dungeons at least, and then got burned to death by a statue. That was very strange for a Super Nintendo game. But cool all the same, though. But yeah, this stage, Area 3, I think this is called, can be kind of annoying just due to the size of the map, but once you know where to go, a lot of the maps in this game just get kind of easy. Though now we're suddenly above ground. I do know all these areas are, like, named after certain places in New York, like one of them is the airports. One of them is, like, the Bronx. I think this is Wall Street. And, oh my god, Turtle. This is Mechaturtle. I think it's also technically Metalhead. And he is really annoying unless you use scrolls, because as you can see, they take him down very quickly, especially his second form. He can be a very annoying boss, because he actually has some decent range to his attacks, but scrolls really take him out very easily. Hi, Splinter. Just gonna float to the ground? Okay. Oh! Get the blimp to chase the helicopter. You can do it. Well, thank you, Mako. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we'll be heading into this JFK airport, and I think finishing off the game, if I recall the editing correctly. It's not entirely finished yet, but I think it'll be done in part 2. See you guys then.